Pol Pot was born on January 25th, 1925. His original name at birth was Saluth Sar. Cambodia at the time was a monarchy with a royal family in charge, but the king was really just a figurehead for the French colonial government. His family was a mix of Chinese and ethnic Khmer. Khmer is the Cambodian word for the dominant ethnic group, but they did not speak Chinese at all. Eventually, when Pol Pot was 6, he and his brother went to a school where he studied the French Revolution and the terror of Robespierre by his French overlords. When Pol Pot was 20, he and his friends went to a temple known as Angkor Wat, which was a rallying point for Cambodian nationalistic pride. In 1949, he won a scholarship to go to an elite engineering school in Paris. While Pol Pot was there, he tried to study the teachings of Karl Marx, but found it difficult to understand, unlike the philosophy of Joseph Stalin, which shaped Pol Pot into becoming an advocate for Stalinism. In 1969, the United States started bombing North Cambodia during the Vietnam War, because the North Vietnamese were sending equipment and supplies through Cambodia. At the time, the Cambodian government was in a civil war with the Khmer Rouge, the communists. The bombings left hundreds of thousands dead, which only boosted Pol Pot's popularity. In the end, the Khmer Rouge won the war in 1974, and the terror that was Pol Pot's regime began. Pol Pot took power in 1975, and under his totalitarian regime, communist equality meant that everyone was equally a peasant, with his first act being disarming the population. The government wanted to build up their communist utopia with an agrarian economy from the bottom. So one of the first things they did was execute all of the rich and educated people. One way they identified these people was anyone wearing glasses. So basically anyone who is educated or wealthy. They also put people who knew nothing about farming in charge of farming. They also got rid of all of the books, which means how-to books were not available. The former urbanites were only given half of the food rations that the peasants received. The state would decide which people got married, and anyone who was suspected of falling in love outside of arrangements were beaten to death in public. The Khmer Rouge outlawed any form of entertainment, including sports. Many people under the regime of Pol Pot were tortured and convicted of false crimes. In order to save bullets, suspects were killed by axes and suffocation in fields. This became known as the killing fields because they were literally done in fields. Around 2.2 million people died in the killing fields. 3 years after the end of the Vietnam War, on December 25th, 1978, Vietnam, a fellow communist state, invaded Cambodia. The Khmer Rouge collapsed on January 7, 1979. Pol Pot was not put to justice and started a guerrilla war that lasted until 1999, where Pol Pot died right of a heart attack before finally being put to justice. In his reign, he killed 2 to 3 million people, a quarter of Cambodia's population. Although small numbers compared to Hitler and Stalin, they ruled over extremely populated areas for more than 10 years, while Pol Pot had the opposite. He ruled over some of the least populated areas, only ruling for 3 years.